Hey guys, we're back in the shop, and I want to start working on the CL350 here. And I think the first step is these bars. These bars gotta go. They're just too high, and looks like this cable has been stretched out and was like rubbing up against the tank there for a little bit of time, and I don't know, I'm just not a fan of the ape hangers either. But yeah, I'm going to take these bars off. It looks like there's some wiring that would have gone to the turn signals there. So I guess this is going to include some wiring. But I have the new handlebars, or sorry, the original handlebars over here. And I think they're going to look a lot better on the bike. But yeah, you can see there's a hole in there. The wires should be ran through the bars on this bike. So hopefully I can squeeze the wires into there without too much trouble. But yeah, we'll get these crazy ape hangers off and put the original bars back on. Okay, so I got the handlebars off there, and a couple of wires that were inside the bars or routed through the bars right there. I kind of had some trouble. You'll see that these bars are obviously not the original bars, nor are they in good condition. I don't know, some welding going on there, but these holes in the bars for the wires to be routed through were made by someone. These bars I guess didn't originally come with those holes, so someone put these holes in them, and I actually had a really hard time getting the wires back out, and I actually had to wallow out this hole just to make it bigger so I could get this big piece here to kind of fit through the bars. But a little bit of a casualty there. I don't know if you could see it, but yeah, broke one of the connections there, that white one. So I'm gonna have to solder that back together, and before I route all these wires through the original bars there. So I'll get out the soldering iron and do some soldering. So I got that wire soldered back on there, and unfortunately I wasn't able to film it while I was doing it. I only have two hands and no tripod, but I just wanted to show you my setup. I just used my soldering pen, and I didn't even use any more solder. I just heated up the little gob of solder that was already on there and just kind of melted it back onto the terminal, and it looks like it should be strong enough to hold. So next step is to try to route these wires through the original bars, and we'll see how that goes and see how it looks when it's done. Okay, so still trying to run these wires in through the bars, and I taped them up a bit just so there's no sharp edges, or just kind of make it smaller package to go through there. And right now I've got this fish, and I've put it through here, and I'm coming up through the other side there. So just got this fish through here. Let's see if we can get her out. There we go. So now what I'll do is I'll tape this end of it, of the wires, to the fish, and then just yank her through. that's the idea. So hopefully it works. So I got the wires there run through the bars. This side's hooked up already. Still working on this side, and yeah, another electrical casualty here. I just had to solder this connection, and I just wanted to show you guys my my setup here. Got the clamp and the vice grips, and soldering right on the bike there. But yeah, I've moved on to my bigger soldering gun, just because I have a little bit more room. But yeah, just wanted to show you guys the setup that I got going on to solder that. Yeah, a couple of casualties there with getting these wires run through the bars in terms of the electrical connections, but almost done. I think I've got all the connections secure and how I like them now, and just gonna put it all back together, and then I'll give you guys some shots of what the bike looks like with the bars, or the original bars, back on. Okay guys, I got the original handlebars back on there, and I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks way better than those other handlebars. So yeah, just a couple of things that happened after those bars. I guess the ape hanger bar kit comes with an extra long front brake cable. So now that I have not big, huge, tall bars, I have this big, long cable. So gonna have to do something with that. But yeah, other than that, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna actually test those wiring fixes that we did. So yeah, we've got a low beam, we've got a high beam, low beam, high beam, so that works. We've got a running tail light. Let's see if we got a stopping tail light. Oh yeah, stopping tail light, that works still. What else do we have here? Left and right turn signals. So those still aren't working. I don't think that's related to the wires that we did in the bars. Maybe a flasher, I'm not sure. I'll have to take a look into that another time. But what else do we have here? We got the horn. Yeah, that works. And electric start. Let's see if that works. So that works. So yeah, just continuing on to find everything that's wrong with it. Not really ready to start her up yet. Gonna take a look at those carbs. I don't have any gas in it right now either, but probably next step is take off those carbs, look inside, see what's going on. If it needs a clean, we'll throw her in the ultrasonic cleaner there and get her cleaned up, and hopefully we have this bike fired up and ready for a ride in no time. Okay, so just trying to get at these carburetors here to get them off, to see what's going on inside. If they need to be cleaned up, we'll put them in the ultrasonic cleaner. If not, we'll just put them back on, but just trying to get them off of the bike so I can open them up, open the float bowl there, and see what's going on inside. So first thing I did was unhook these two gas lines here from the gas tank valve there, and the next thing is to pop this cover off. And then I got the airbox. I already took this bolt out, but another bolt here, and let's see what the air filter looks like. Airbox, a little bit dirty, use it clean. air filter. Yeah, it looks a little dirty. Probably use a new air filter, but I might just try to blow it out just to get her running, just for now. But yeah, oh yeah, and one interesting thing about this bike is, so it's a 2-cylinder, 2-carburetor, and then the airbox has 2 separate air filters, one on each side. And there's actually a pipe that goes in between the 2 air filters. So I guess the idea is that the air that goes to the bike is equalized for both sides of the engine. It's the same air pressure and maybe easier to tune coming out of like one airbox kind of thing. Even though it's 2 filters, it's kind of, they're working in conjunction with that tube there, via that tube. So yeah, another thing too, these foot pegs here. If you guys ever see Honda foot pegs or have foot pegs on your Honda, you're gonna want to look for this symbol, HM. Yeah, that's how you know that's a real Honda accessory, vintage Honda accessory. But yeah, this bike would have came with these foot pegs, like as a road bike, so you can carry a passenger from the factory. But these are also like a bolt-on accessory you could buy. So yeah, check your foot pegs. Make sure you got real Honda foot pegs. But yeah, I think the other side of this airbox here, it looks like the exhaust is completely in the way of taking off this side cover. So, not really sure if I actually have to take off this muffler and this exhaust to get the cover off, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So, we'll see how that goes, and I'll just continue to try to get these carbs off. Okay, so it turns out in order to get at these carbs here, I am going to have to take this exhaust off. And one of the first steps is to remove this guard. And if you'll notice, it's cracked right there, and it's also cracked in 2 spots there. So what I think I'm going to do is just because we're fixing up this bike, I'm just going to go grab the the MIG welder, and I'm just going to put a tack on the back of it. I'm not going to try to like smooth it out on the front or anything like that, just to hold it in the right spot so it's not all wanky. So I'll just put a tack on the back just to hold this in a better position. So I'll turn you back on when I get the welder out. Okay, so I've got that muffler guard off, and I use this rubber mallet here to kind of hammer it a little bit back into shape without marring the finish on her or anything. And then I've used a pair of vice grips, and I've just got it holding the exhaust guard together where I want to weld it. So I'm just gonna quickly prep the surface and use my welder and just put a small tack in there, and I'll do another one over here and another one over here, and I'll use the vice grips on each of these also. But yeah, unfortunately I don't have a tripod, so I'm gonna have to turn you guys off while I do the spot weld. But yeah, I'll show you guys once it's done. Okay, so there she is. There's a spot weld there. I did one here and I did one there. Not our best welds here, boys, but I think this one was the ideal one that worked best. That one there, that's kind of what I was going for in the first place, and kind of ended up with as my third weld. But my first 2 didn't go as well. Had to do a little bit of feathering, a little bit of get in there with the file a bit. but nonetheless much stronger and more in shape than she was previously. So yeah, we'll put that aside for now. We'll just keep plugging away on these carbs there. Okay, so I finally got the exhaust off and out of the way, and I'm about to take a look at the other air filter here. So just pull off this cover. Oh, well. Got some visitors, some presents they left for us. Get rid of that. Hopefully there's no mice still living in here. But yeah, I'll get this airbox off. Doesn't look like there's any mice in there, but air filter, just like the other one, needs to be replaced really. Yeah, so maybe I'll add that to the list. Some new air filters. And yeah, so getting closer. Some mouse stuff in here too. But yuck. Getting closer to getting the carbs out. And yeah, I think I probably just have to loosen them up right now, and they should come out. Just one thing I wanted to show you with these bikes here. The earlier ones, SL, CB, and CLs, depending on the carb setup you have, the choke lever is connected to both carbs, and it controls, this one lever controls the choke on both carbs at the same time. And if you want to take the carbs out, you're going to have to, I don't know if you can see back here, right here, this piece of metal, this is what allows the one choke lever to control both carbs. And if you don't loosen that up and take that off, and you try pulling these carbs out, you're just going to bend that little piece of metal there and just ruin it. There's another angle there, so you can see how small that metal is, or thin that metal is. So you got to loosen up the bolts here and get that band off, or that piece of metal off, before you start reefing on these carbs there. Okay, so just about to take this carb out, the first carb anyways, and I've disconnected the throttle cable here, as you can see. Disconnected that from the carb there, and just going to loosen up the end of the carb there, and she should come out. Ugh. There we go. There it is. Keying. First carb is out. So yeah, I'll get the other side out, and then I'll start tearing into them and seeing what they look like on the inside. So I've got the carbs off, both of them now, and I just stuffed some plastic into the intake side of the cylinder head, as well as the exhaust side of the cylinder head, And now I'm just going to blow the bike off with some air, because we got some mouse remnants and I just want to get rid of all of that. I think that should be good, and yeah, I'll start working on tearing apart those carbs and throwing them in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I've got the carb here, well, one of them anyways, the other one's over there, but got the carb here and just about to open up the float bowl for the first time and see, oops, what's going on inside. Let me see if I can film this and do this all at the same time. Whoa. It's pretty clean, actually. Yeah. Pretty clean, pretty clean. Yeah, it's pretty clean. You know what, I'm gonna disassemble it anyways and throw it in the ultrasonic parts washer here, and just for good measure, just to go through all these ports and jets and just make sure everything's good. Does not look like this has ever been taken apart. Usually the heads of these screws kind of get chewed up, and even on the float bowl these heads get chewed up too, and they look to be in pretty good shape. So I'm not sure if this has ever really been taken apart before, but I'll get it disassembled. I'm just going to do one carb at a time and get this one disassembled and throw it in, and I'll show you how it looks in the parts washer or the ultrasonic parts cleaner. Okay, so I've got the carb all disassembled here, all the parts here, and so I'm ready to start cleaning it. And what I'm going to use, as I mentioned before, is an ultrasonic parts washer, and I think these were originally manufactured and used for cleaning medical equipment, but yeah, I'm just going to make it work for me for the purpose of my carburetor cleaning. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some water, just regular tap water. I'm not going to use solvent, I'm not going to use soap or anything like that, and I'm just going to fill it up, and that looks like a good level there. And I'm going to plug it in, and I'm going to submerge all my parts from the carburetor. I'm even going to do these little screws, why not? But all the parts, the pilots, the jets, all this little stuff, I'm just going to toss them all in. And let the ultrasonic parts washer do its thing. Oh yeah, just something to note, you're not going to want to put your floats. Do not put your floats. If you have one of these, or if you get one of these parts washer, do not put your floats inside the parts washer, or the ultrasonic parts washer. It'll erode the float and just cause it to spring leak, and then your float won't float anymore, and you don't want that. So yeah, just continuing to throw all my parts into here, and now I'm ready to turn her on. You can probably hear that noise. That is sound waves. Sound waves that are going to create little tiny bubbles that will essentially clean my parts. I don't know if you can see it in a movie, but you can start to see the a little bit of gum kind of rising to the top, like a gunky film. But I'll leave that in there for maybe an hour or so, and then I'll come back and see how the parts are doing. It's been about 15 minutes now, and continuing to let these carbs, or this carb, soak. I'm not sure if it's showing up in a movie though, but you can kind of start to see particles floating around and floating up in the water, and that's a good thing. That means it's working. So I'm gonna let this soak for a little bit longer, and then start pulling it out and giving her a little bit more of a scrub, and see how clean this ultrasonic cleaner got the carb. Another thing I wanted to mention about the ultrasonic cleaner is that you don't need to use chemicals, which is pretty awesome, because I used to do this kind of thing with like solvents and like harsh chemicals, and I would just end up ruining my hands. And doing it with just water makes it so much more easy to work with, and yeah, just way better on your hands. But yeah, I'm just going through all the parts that came out of the ultrasonic parts washer, and with like little stuff like this, I take a wire and I just run it down through all the little holes, any little parts that have a little hole in it. Just run a little wire down in through it. Make sure it's clear. All the passages are clear. So that's all I'm doing right now. These types of parts, just run that little wire in through them. Okay, so the body of the carb is all cleaned out, cleaned off. Looks pretty good. Cleaned up all those little holes there, ran a wire through them. Made sure to clean every angle. And yeah, so I'm just going to reassemble this entire carb. There it is. Carb's all cleaned and assembled. Ready to go back on the bike. Yeah. Too bad I got a whole nother one I gotta do. So I'll do this one, and then I'll probably, yeah, so I guess you can see the before and after here. They really weren't that dirty to begin with. So just opening the second carb here, and oh, well, dusty fellas, some dusty, crusty fellas in there. So yeah, this will, look at that, eh? It's like flaked powder. It's really not that bad, but I mean, yeah, look at that. You see that? That flaky powder? Overall, it doesn't look that bad, but it might be a better example for the ultrasonic cleaner. So, yeah, I'll get that in there and get her all cleaned up. So this carb was a little bit dirtier, and I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, and I'm not sure if you can see, but very faintly you can see kind of little puffs of dirt rising up off of the parts in there. And basically, that's how you know it's working. So just working on assembling the second carb, the one that was a little bit dirtier, and it seemed to come out okay. It's actually really clean. Without a doubt, these carbs are in exceptional condition. But you can see the effect of the ultrasonic cleaner. It's cleaned the carb to a very high standard, in my opinion. And yeah, so I'm just going to finish assembling that, the rest of the parts, but I also decided to throw the valve for the gas tank into the ultrasonic parts washer, just because when I bought the bike, the guy said that the valve was leaking, and sure enough, I took it apart and it was missing a gasket, and this gasket looks pretty beat up. Yeah, I was actually missing the gasket for this little bowl, the O-ring that goes here. So I'll have to order a kit for the gas tank valve, a gasket kit for that. Fortunately, the carbs are good as far as gaskets go. I don't think I'll need a gasket set for these, but I guess only putting gas in here will really tell me the answer to that. But they look pretty good, so I'm just going to go with it and assemble it and hope for the best. Okay guys, so there you have it. I've got two very clean carburetors that are ready to go back on the bike, and the gas tank gas valve all cleaned up, all cleaned with the ultrasonic cleaner. And yeah, so I wish I could put these all back on the bike right now, but I'm waiting for the new gasket set for this. I've got to order that. So just looking at my parts list, I've got to order a battery, a gas cap latch for the gas tank. I'll show you actually. The gas tank is missing the latch. Someone's made a latch. Surprisingly, it works, but I'm going to replace it with a real latch. There's a locking version of this latch as well as a non-locking version of the latch that you can get, but I'm just going to get the locking version, so I'll have to order that. And yeah, so before I can get some gas into it, need to order at least the valve gasket kit. So I'll get online, I'll get on the phone, I'll order up those parts, and as soon as we get them in, then put all this stuff back on the bike and should be ready to fire her up. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll have the follow-up video or the conclusion of this CL350 project for you soon. So yeah, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next video.